Shalom, this is Truth Unveiled, and today is going to be more so of a warning video as well as talking about some prophetic things that we can expect. This video is more so going to be tailored concerning my thoughts regarding the upcoming new year as it comes closer and closer and closer. But before I get into the video, I just want to do a few little housekeeping things. I know for some of you, I have not uploaded in a few months, as you probably know. And that is because I've mostly been silent and Yahuwah has been leading me and guiding me with other things. However, I've been led for the past couple of months to talk about the things that I'm about to talk about in this video. And it's my thoughts regarding 3/22/2023, or so-called March 22nd, 2023 and beyond. Now, let me preface this video and say, am I saying that some big event is going to happen on that day within the next 15 or 16 days from now? No, I am not, so let's please understand that right away. Now that we got that out of the way, however, there are some more prophetic things that I think you need to be aware of if you already are not, as well as what time it really is. Now, again, on what we do on this network is we warn about prophetic things and sound the alarm to things that are about to take place and things that are about to come. So again, you can take with this information what you decide to take from it, but it's important that I tell you about it ahead of time. So now going into the video itself, again, as we've said how many times on this network, judgment is at the door. But the better question is just how close are we to judgment? So it's interesting that, again, March 22nd, 2023 is coming up. Now, on this network, we've talked about the Illuminati, we've talked about the symbolism, and we've related that to end times prophecy and scriptural prophecy as well. Now, it's just interesting, these numbers, because when you have 0322 in 2023, if you unscramble those numbers, you get a perfect match. Not only that, but when you do 32223, when you put those numbers together, it makes a palindrome. And not only that, but the first three numbers, when it's read from left to right, are the same numbers as the read from right to left. Again, does that mean anything? I don't know. However, getting into the scriptural significance, one thing that is important about this is that according to the restored ancient Yahudyth, or so-called Hebrew calendar, according to that, and according to the one that we're going to be using based on the ancient Enoch calendar, again, we've gone over that in previous videos. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, please pause this video and take a look at the videos, and also take a look at the links that are linked in the description box below. But as you can see, the real new year starts around, of course, the spring equinox every single year. So this year, the new year will begin on Tuesday evening, March 21st, 2023. Now, what's very interesting and suspicious indeed about this year in particular is that, again, according to America, when it's sundown in America, more than likely it will already be midnight Africa time. Now, we've already gone over the true locations and where the real Yerushalayim, or scriptural Jerusalem, is. And let's just say that it's not in Palestine. It's nowhere near Palestine. So with that being said, it will already be March 22nd, 2023. So isn't it interesting that this year in particular, March 22nd, 2023 at midnight, will also mark the real first day of the new year? Because again, days go from sundown to sundown. So 2 Gregorian days is actually 1 Yahudyth, or so-called Hebrew day. And for this upcoming year in so-called 2023, March 21st and March 22nd will mark the first day of the new year. So that's something to look out for. Not only that, but we also know that according to the elite Illuminati, 322 is a very important number for them. I wonder why. Now, folks, I don't know about you, but we've talked about on this channel that nothing is a surprise or a coincidence indeed. Now, one of the things we've also talked about before is Skull and Bones, the secret society. Just like we've talked about the Illuminati, well, Skull and Bones is another one. And just so that you know, they are more than likely the forces behind 9/11 and the ones who actually bombed 9/11, among other things. So again, what they're going to tell you is that it's a secret society of students from Yale University that was founded in 1832. Now, that's what they're going to tell you. However, when you keep reading, though, the part that's very interesting and suspicious indeed is this part right here. The emblem of the society is a skull and crossbones with the number 322 beneath it. Now, they claim that that number is generally taken to refer to the year 322 BCE, according to them, of the death of the Greek orator, which is a turning point in the transformation of ancient Athens from democracy to plutocracy. But again, what I want you to keep your mind and attention on is this whole idea of 322 and why it could be important and significant in the coming weeks to come, and what this could mean prophetically as well. Now, it's also no surprise that certain events have occurred on March 22nd as well. Now, I'm not going to go over every single one simply because it would be too many to go over, but I just want you to get the gist and idea of what really goes on and what all of this symbolism could really be pointing to come the future, if anything at all. Now, again, it's just interesting that on March 22nd, 2021, there was a supposed shooting in Boulder, Colorado that occurred. Now, did the shooting actually occur? That's for you to decide. Are they potentially lying about it? That's for you to decide. And that's for you to draw your own conclusions. Now, it's interesting because I actually talked about this event when it first occurred in 2016, but on March 22nd, again, there's that 322 again. On March 22nd, 2016, there was also what occurred with the supposed bombings in Brussels as well. And it's just interesting that when I talked about it on the original channel, that video received a community guideline strike years after the video was posted. Very interesting and suspicious indeed. However, again, just pay careful attention to all of this. 322, just like what happened in 2021. 322, 322, the skull and bones, 322. And now that takes us to our next point when it comes to the number 23 itself, because as you saw, 322, well, if you read that the other way around, it's 223. And now I've done previous videos on 23, on 923, and specifically September 23rd, and why that's so important and even prophetic to some extent. I've talked about that extensively in previous videos, but we're going to review some of that right now. We're not going to talk about all of it. However, I did want to turn your attention to the number 23, because is it a surprise or a coincidence that we are currently in the Gregorian year of 2023? Not only that, but of course, when you read that, or when our enemies make the notation of 2023 abbreviated, they just put 23 at the end of it. So that's interesting. But not only that, as we know and as we've probably learned in school, there are 23 pairs of chromosomes for a total of 46. So that's what makes up our DNA. And the 23rd pair, which is considered the sex chromosomes, that is what differentiates between a male and a female, whether it's the XY or the XX. Excuse me if I'm butchering this. It's been a while since I've actually learned this in school. However, again, pay attention to that number 23. What you're going to realize is that the number 23 is also important when it comes to scripture and even in the Yahudyth language as well. Could that be a reason why your elite Illuminati are so obsessed with this number? Could there be something behind this number that they don't want you to know? And again, what I like to do is tie this with scripture so people don't think I'm making this up out of thin air. But you even see the number 23 in scripture itself in one of our Yahudyth words, actually, because we're here in Strong's H2421. You can look this up on your own time. Now, again, like we said before, because this is a truth network, our goal is to seek the ancient path. And so we use the ancient path right here, or the ancient Yahudyth language, instead of using the modern Hebrew. So again, when you actually look this word up, you get khaYAH, khaYAH, khaYAH. Now you see Yah in there. Again, Yah is the shortened version of our creator's name, Yahuwah, which is the first two letters of his name. It goes from right to left. So again, khaYAH, that means life, or to live, or to dwell. Now it has three letters going from right to left. Now remember, in our language, each letter is a number. And again, each letter is a pictographic meaning and has a pictographic meaning. Now it's just interesting that this word has the numeric value of 23, because when you actually take a look at the Yahudyth, or the ancient Hebrew language, again, each letter has a number and a numeric meaning. So the first letter is the khat right here, and that means wall, fence, or separation. It has the numeric value of 8. The next letter is the yod, and that means hand or arm, and that has the numeric value of 10. And then the next letter is the ah, or what they call the hey, and that means behold or window, and that is the numeric value of 5. Now, when you add all of these numbers up, is it a surprise or a coincidence that when you add all of these up, you get the number 23? Just like when it comes to the chromosomes, there are 23 pairs of chromosomes. Wow, isn't that what makes up the DNA? And isn't that what makes up life itself? Very interesting and suspicious indeed. Not only that, but when you take a look at the pictographic, it can also mean Yah separates. So to have life and to have it more abundantly, like Yahusha talks about in Yahukanan or John 10:10, that he's come to give us khaYAH, or life, and life more abundantly, it means what? Yah, because you see right here, the last two letters, Yah separates. So there's Yah, and then there's the wall, fence, or separation. So again, in order to have khaYAH, or life with Yahuwah, we have to be separated from the world. And we understand that it is not us who have chosen ourselves to be on this walk, but Yahuwah himself has chosen us and has separated us. And that's even according to his own words. So again, Yah separates. In order to have khaYAH more abundantly, we have to be separated from the world in order for that to happen. You can also take a look at the pictographic here. If you do each word by itself, or each letter, you get behold, hand, wall, behold, hand, wall, or behold, the hand separates. So again, the hand of Yah separates us from the world, and that is how we are able to have khaYAH, or life. So again, it's just interesting how there are 23 pairs of chromosomes for a total of 46, and how at the 23rd pair, that determines one's gender, whether or not they're going to be male or female. So we see the number 23 in chromosomes. We see the number 23 when it comes to the Yahudyth language, how it is the word khaYAH, or life, to live. We see the significance there. But we even see, of course, how the elite and the Illuminati have twisted this, and how they have, of course, perverted it and manipulated it into their own symbolism and into their own ideologies. And it's just interesting, again, how we're in the year 2023, the Gregorian one. Now, again, we've briefly gone over the number 23 and how that relates to the Illuminati and some of the symbolism in it. Now, this is from an article that was done back in 2013. Now, do you remember that song that came out with Miley Cyrus, the number 23? Very interesting and suspicious indeed. There's even a movie about it too, with Jim Carrey as well. So you see 23 all over the place. And here are some examples right here. You can pause the video just so that you can see it. Of course, Michael Jordan's jersey is the number 23, Miley Cyrus being born on the 23rd, and a bunch of other numerical values of it as well. Now, again, for me, it's just very interesting that they would even make this article and talk about it. Again, why do you think they're doing this? What do you think it's leading up to is the better question. And again, could this be a warning or a sign to watch out for? Now, it's just interesting with this song that was made and that even included Wiz Khalifa, Juicy J, and Miley Cyrus, that it premiered on Vivo as of September 24th, 2013. Again, 23, talking about that once again. It's just interesting because isn't that the same day that Drake came out with the song as well? Oh, that's right. It was the same day that the album was released by Drake. Nothing was the same, as of September 24th, 2013, on the exact same day. Very interesting and suspicious indeed. What do you think they're possibly alluding to when they say that nothing was the same? What do they really mean here? Or is this just a bunch of hogwash? Now, here are some more places where you see the number 23 in symbolism, some more interesting places, I should say. Again, the movie, The Number 23, is interesting because what? The 23 Enigma. Now, it's interesting. It was released on what day? February 23rd, 2007. Why is that so interesting to note right here? Because again, February 23rd, that's what? 223. Again, that's 322 or what? Skull and bones, the same number. Wow, very interesting and suspicious indeed. Born on February 3rd, there's that 2-3 again, the 23. And if you can recall, remember we did videos on the Illuminati card game, and if I'm not mistaken, some of those videos have been re-uploaded onto this channel in particular, in specific. But isn't it just interesting that one of their cards is the number 23? What are they getting at? What do they know? Isn't it interesting that what? This is the Gregorian year 23, or should I say 2023? And then they give all of these symbolisms right here. 2 + 3 = 5. 23 is the most commonly cited prime number and the only prime number that consists of 2 consecutive prime numbers. And then they even put right here 2, 3 + 3 squared equals 23 or something like that. And then of course 2 divided by 3 makes a 0.666. Now they claim that's the number of the beast. We've already gone over how 666 is not the number of the beast, but is actually a deception. Now it's interesting that they even put on here the September 11th attacks, how they put 9/11/2001. If you add up all of those numbers, you get the number 23. And then of course the nuclei of cells in human bodies have 23 chromosomes. We just went over that together. Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times. And then of course they even put the Kurt Cobain symbolism on here, if that even happened. Please excuse the G word here. I'm not sure if you can actually see this, all of it, but they even cite the scriptural passage Numbers 23:23 right here. I'm telling you, why are they so obsessed with this number? That's the question you need to be thinking about right now. Why are they obsessed with this number? What is it about this number that draws them in? What is it? And what could be the prophetic significance, if any? These are the questions you need to be thinking about right now. Now, of course, they're going to put lies in here when it comes to the Earth's rotation and the tilt of it when what? It's a flat Earth, immovable. The Earth does not move. So again, it's about separating the truth from the lies. Now, it's also interesting they claim that there are 2,300 stories or stones comprising the Great Pyramid of Giza, and there are exactly 23 characters, numbers, and letters on the face of all U.S. coins. Very interesting and suspicious indeed. And then there was also this symbolism here too, Warehouse 23. Now, when I look at this Illuminati card right here, the first thing I think and the first thing I see with it is what? Everything we've talked about when it comes to Walmart, when it comes to martial law, when it comes to police surveillance and the police state. And folks, in case you don't already know, they already have the system locked down. They already have the checkpoints ready to go. They already have this stuff ready to go so that when stuff starts hitting the fan, everything is already in place. And how do I know that? Because they already tested it with COVID in the first lockdown. People think that the world is going back to normal and everything's just going to be back to normal and everyone's just going to be back to their happy-go-lucky selves and lives. Well, newsflash for you, everything is already ready to go. Everything is already in place. The system is in place. And if there's another lockdown in America specifically, they already have the checkpoints ready to go, folks. They already have everything ready to go. They can shut every single city down within a day, and within 24 hours you probably would not even be able to leave the city. They can drain people's bank accounts, as we've talked about with the bail-ins and everything. They can raid the food stores to make sure there's no more foods, no more food trucks come in. They've already tested that back in 2020 when there was a what they call a food shortage and a coin shortage and this shortage and that shortage. Folks, this was all a test, and if you're not paying attention to this stuff, then you are going to be blind to what's coming real soon that could even start potentially next scriptural year. So again, why call it that? Why call it Warehouse 23? Why use that number in particular? Could it potentially be alluding to something? Could it be potentially alluding to martial law come 2023? Didn't they somewhat tell you this in the movie Songbird as well? And didn't they even tell you and use once again the 23 symbolism again? Because they tell you right here that what, by 2024, COVID-19 has been mutated into what? COVID 23. There's that number 23 again. And the world is in its fourth quarantine year. In the US, the nation's government is converted into what? A fascist police state? Isn't that what we've been talking about? People are required to take temperature checks on their cell phones, while those infected with COVID 23 are taken from their homes against their will and forced into quarantine camps, also known as Q zones or concentration camps, where some fight back against the brutal restrictions. In these camps, the infected are left to die or forcibly get better. Isn't that what we talked about on this network for how many years now? About lockdowns, about shutdowns, about martial law? Didn't your lovely president sign executive orders into law that if there were to be a national emergency in this country, then that would mean that the government owns practically everything, including your house and including the land that you are sitting on and the soil that you are sitting on if you are within the United States of America? Didn't this take place? Haven't they been signing these laws since the 1960s, since JFK? Or once again, is all of this just a conspiracy theory? Is all of this just some hogwash? Is all of this just some talk and is just whatever? That's for you to decide. But meanwhile, while you're deciding, you can think that this is just a movie all you want to, and that this is just fiction, and that this is just whatever. But again, this is how they put the truth right in front of you. And again, we've talked about on this network before the whole September 23rd and all of that symbolism as well. There's that number 23 again. Remember the movie Little Shop of Horrors that came out in 1986 on the 23rd day of the month of September? In an early year of a decade, not too long before our own, the human race suddenly encountered a deadly threat to its very existence. Could that deadly threat really be on the horizon? Notice how it says in an early year of a decade. Well, 2023 is still considered an early year, and so is 2024. Could it be talking about 2023 or 2024, possibly 2025? Is there something to this? Maybe, maybe not. And there are plenty other 2023 references in September 23rd or 923 references and symbolism that I really do not have time to go over in this video. That will have to be an entirely separate video in and of itself and on its own. But again, folks, I'm here to warn and sound the alarm about this. Regardless if something happens, regardless if something does not happen, it is my job to warn and sound the alarm about this stuff. It's better to warn and something not happen than not warn and something does happen. So again, what you're probably wondering, well, what can we do in this situation? The best thing to do is to seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha. Make sure you have a relationship with your creator by getting to know his name if you already don't. Make sure you have a relationship with your creator by getting to know his ways if you already don't know what his ways are. You can learn more about this in the first 5 books of scripture, commonly known as the Thoo or Torah, by getting away from these holidays, getting away from religion, getting away from the world's ways and the world's system of doing things, and observing and embracing the appointed times that are listed in scripture. Also learning the Sabbath and keeping the Sabbath or Shabbat. Also, when it comes to the appointed times, these are the things that you can start doing now if you already haven't, so that you can ensure that you will be safe come this time and come these prophetic times. Now, you're probably wondering what is on your screen now and why this is on your screen and how this relates to 2023 in specific. Now, again, remember we talked about before about 2,000 years, and we related this to Hosea chapter 6 verses 2, and also when it comes to what? The death, burial, and resurrection of our Messiah specifically. Now, I will be sure to link this video in the description box below in case you already have not seen it, or in case you need a refresher on it, because it has been a while since this video was released and uploaded onto this network. But if you can recall, I want to say earlier this year in the scriptural year, we did a video regarding the real death, burial, and resurrection day of the Messiah of Yahusha, and even the location. And we were led to this day right here in the Julian calendar as of March 28th, 24 AD or 328-24 AD. There was a solar eclipse that occurred over the southeastern tip of Africa as it's known today, or should I say the real scriptural land, the Garden District, the Eden District, the real scriptural Yasharal or Israel. And we related this to how the Messiah could have potentially died, was buried, and resurrected around this time, but how this was the restored calendar of Passover. In that same video, we also went over the Julian calendar from the year 24 AD, and we even talked about how on 328, if you take a look at the Enoch calendar, you will see that on the Enoch calendar, this was the 14th day of Abyab, commonly known as Passover. So this was the day that Yahusha, in fact, was died and impaled on that stake. Now, why is this so important, and how does this relate to 2023 in specific? Again, we talked about the count and why counting is so important. We talked about how, again, there's no such number as 0 in the count, in the Yahudyth count specifically. So this marks year 1. So the spring of 24 AD marks year 1 that Yahusha was died, buried, and resurrected. Now, if you go all the way and count from 1 to 2000, what year will you arrive at? You will arrive at the spring of 2023. Yes, come the new year, that will mark the 2000th year since Yahusha died, was buried, and resurrected. Next year will mark 2000 years since his death, burial, and resurrection. Yes, come the next 16 days or 2 weeks or whenever you decide to observe the new year, that is when Yahusha died, buried, and resurrected, and will mark the 2000th year. Why is that important? Because if you take a look at Husha or Hosea chapter 6 verses 1 through 2, it reads, "Come, and let us turn back to Yahuwah, for he has torn, but he does heal us. He has stricken, but he binds us up." Verse 2, "After 2 days he shall revive us. On the 3rd day he shall raise us up, so that we dwell before him." You see that word live right there? In Hosea 6:2, where it says the word live right there, that word is from Strong's H2421, khaYAH, with the numeric value of 23. Wow, that is not a surprise or a coincidence whatsoever. But again, pay attention to where it says after 2 days he shall revive us. Scripture tells you that a day is like 1,000 years unto him. So again, 2 days, that symbolizes 2,000 years. After 2,000 years, he shall revive us. On the 3rd day, the 3rd day is referencing the 1,000-year reign, he shall raise us up. So after 2,000 years, after that, it will be the 1,000-year reign. So what? 2,000 years following his death, burial, and resurrection. If 24 AD marked the 1st year, well then 2023 AD marks the 2000th year come the spring new year. Not only that, but the year after is what? The second X. X marks the spot. 2 solar eclipses within 7 years. We've already gone over the one extensively back in 2017 that occurred, and we also related that to the Revelation 12 sign that occurred on what day? On September 23rd, 2017. Wow, there's that September 23rd again. But again, also this eclipse here that will make the X over America on April 8th, 2024. Now, if you take a look at the calendar, you'll see that this day is around what appointed time? Unleavened bread. Wow, that's around the same time that what? Yahusha died and was buried and resurrected, around that appointed time. Very prophetic indeed, very interesting and suspicious indeed. And we've already gone over here, the X right here, how again, that's the Tav in the ancient Yahudyth language, or the Thoo, and how it has a numeric value of 400. And we also talked about how that symbolizes what? The 400 years that are talked about in Brashith Genesis 15 verses 13 through 14 and Acts chapter 7 verses 6 through 7. How again, his word says that we would be afflicted for 400 years, and that nation he will judge. That nation, he is talking about America. And we've also talked about how the X marks the spot. Where is this, and why is this area so important and even prophetic? Because the area that will mark the X right there is in southern Illinois, as we know today. And southern Illinois has been long referred to as Little Egypt. And we've already talked about on this network how many times how you see Egyptian symbolism all over the place in America, how America is the second Egypt. You see it on your dollar bill. You see the references with the pyramid. You see the pyramid that's located in Memphis, Tennessee. And there's that Memphis again. Just like Memphis, Egypt. Wow, that is not a surprise or a coincidence. And even with Las Vegas as well. You see a pyramid and the Sphinx there, just like you see the Sphinx and pyramid in Giza, Egypt as well. That is not a surprise or a coincidence. There's also, of course, these names too, Egyptian names such as Carmi, Cairo, Thebes, Karnak, Goshen, and Dongola. So again, why all of this Egyptian symbolism around there and around that area for southern Illinois? That's very interesting and suspicious indeed. Again, the question you need to be thinking about is all of this is a surprise or a coincidence? That's for you to decide, but it's important that I come on here and warn and sound the alarm about this time and about what time we're really in and about the times and seasons that we're entering so that you know and so that you can continue to seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha so that you will be ready for the times to come. This is Truth Unveiled here saying as always, Shalom.